Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Sri Suresh Prabhuji, Sri Dilip Sanghani ji, Sri Rakesh Kapoor ji, Sri Dilip Rath, Chairman IRMA, Dr. Umakant Das, Director IRMA, Sri Balu Iyer, Sri C.S. Reddy, my fellow panelist, Sri Rama Reddy, Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac, Sri Jai Prakash Narayan ji, Sri Nand Kumar ji, Sri Ravinder Rao, Sri Mangaljit Rai ji, Srimati Mirai Chatterjee, Dr. Tushar Shah, and all other distinguished speakers during this consultation and participants. I'm really very happy to be part of this consultation, which is deliberated on the very relevant topic, autonomy and independence of cooperatives in our country. Autonomy and independence, one of the cooperative principles has been the hallmark of the cooperatives which have succeeded and have proven to be sustainable across the sector. As we know, two major decisions which were highlighted by Professor Sambhu Prasad also have been taken in the month of July. One of the decision by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, which struck down certain provisions of the 97th Constitutional Amendment Act, and another by the Union government creating an independent Ministry of Cooperation under the Honorable Sri Amit Shah ji. These decisions have brought the focus back on the legal framework of cooperatives. I think this has also brought us many others together to deliberate on what should be the future course of action. Let me take some time and read out a part of the statement of objects and reasons to remind ourselves of the 97th Constitutional Amendment. It says cooperatives need to run on well-established democratic principles and elections held on time and in a free and fair manner. Therefore, there is a need to initiate fundamental reforms to revitalize these institutions in order to ensure their contribution in the economic development of the country and to serve the interests of members and public at large, and also to ensure their autonomy, democratic functioning, and professional management. So if we see the part 9B of the 97th Constitutional Amendment passed by the Parliament way back in 2011, it came in force from February 2012, had quite a good number of provisions to promote good governance and professional management in cooperatives. There has not been major dispute or disagreements on the provisions mentioned in the part 9B to bring about the much needed reforms in the cooperative sector. The enabling provisions of this 97th Amendment Act not getting implemented due to maybe procedural issues like not having approval of at least 50% of the state legislative assemblies is really very disheartening, as a decade of cooperative reforms seems to have been lost. However, I think getting by the observations of the Honorable Supreme Court, I understand that we will still have the scope for bringing about amendment in Constitution to make all the articles in Part 9 be applicable to cooperative societies other than multi-state cooperative societies. Also, once the prescribed procedure for amending the Constitution laid out in Article 368, including ratification by 50% of the state legislator, is ensured. While Part 9B of the Constitution, related to cooperative societies has been struck down by the Honorable Supreme Court, the objectives behind this amendment continue to be relevant and crucial to ensure autonomous, democratic, and professional functioning of the cooperatives. It is pertinent to mention that almost 17 states have already amended their cooperative laws on the lines of 97th Constitutional Amendment before Gujarat High Court struck down Part 9B. However, we have also observed that some of the well-laid features of this constitutional amendment, like active membership, like expert directors, audit by the chartered accountants, they have not been implemented in the true spirit, or sometimes have been misutilized, and thereby hampering the good governance in the cooperatives. States can very well have enabling provisions in the Cooperative Act. I think there is no doubt about it. And that is irrespective of the 97th constitutional amendment. A review of all the State Cooperative Act is, I think, required to assess whether the intents enriched in this constitutional amendment have been incorporated in the state acts or not, and if yes, then to what extent. Another, I think, important aspect of the judgment is that Part 9B has been retained in the Constitution for multi-state cooperative societies, in its entirely. So this would necessitate maybe amending Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act 2002 to ensure its conformity with various articles in Part 9B. I welcome the decision of the Government of India to form a separate Ministry of Cooperation. I think it was long due, and it reaffirms our faith in the immense transformative potential of the cooperative sector, as Sri Suresh Prabhuji has highlighted, as far as the development of Indian economy is concerned. The Ministry of Cooperation will provide a separate administrative, legal, and policy framework for strengthening the cooperative movement in our country. And it will also streamline the processes for, I think, ease of doing business for cooperatives and enable development of multi-state cooperatives, as I mentioned. So promotion of multi-state cooperative societies, I think, is the opportunity, and it will facilitate farmers to organize processing and sale of agriculture produce along with agroclimatic zones, regardless of the state boundaries. I'm hopeful that with the formation of separate ministry, now greater synergy and cohesion will be achieved in efforts of different cooperative sectors such as housing, banking, fertilizer, dairying, credit, etc., which will ultimately meet the various needs of the farmers in an integrated manner. Coming back to the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court as well as the Gujarat High Court, I think we'll have to appreciate the changes relate only to Part 9B and the changes brought in about Article 19(1)(c) and insertion of 43B in Part 4, will still remain in force. So these are, the available legislation to us, and thus forming a cooperative society continues to be recognized as a fundamental right. And moreover, forming the cooperative society is also extended to directive principles of state policy under Article 43B. And it says that it is the duty of the states to promote autonomous functioning, democratic control, voluntary formation, and professional management of the cooperatives, which will enhance the economic activities in our country. So while an enabling legislative environment which protects the autonomy of cooperative is definitely important, and effort should be continuously made for evolving a favorable legislative environment for our farmers to form the cooperatives, I think at the same time, we should also be conscious of the fact that merely working on legislation part will not yield adequate results. I think which is important thing to realize. And we'll have to simultaneously work on some of the key aspects. So if autonomy and independence of cooperatives are to be ensured, and they are to operate as business entities, as all the speakers have highlighted, I think promoting self-reliance in the cooperative is very, very important factor, because cooperative will have to become self-reliant, not just confined to generation of internal resources, but it should encompass enlarging membership base, building a strong vertical and horizontal structures, and effective and efficient management. Only through this self-reliant cooperatives, we will be able to achieve autonomy. The second thing I think is the capital formation. So pricing policy, investment decisions, and the financial management practices in the cooperatives are generally at times based on the hope that cooperative development agencies or the government will bail them in case of any problems. This approach, I think, needs to be changed, and focus should be on building a culture of capital accumulation and reserves in the cooperatives. I think this was missing in the initial years, and now time has come that we focus on the capital formation of the cooperatives. Third thing is building stake of ordinary member. I think the cooperative succeeded in creating a better understanding of business amongst the ordinary members, for which extension and education will remain the key. And they should be well aware that they are the actual owners of the business, and they should have an active role, both right and duty towards the cooperatives. I think many of these cooperatives, they have failed to give this understanding to their members, and it's time that we educate the members about this. And last thing, as we discuss the professional management, so if the cooperatives have to succeed in ever-changing business environment and the era of liberalization, they are required to be professionally managed, autonomous business entities, and we should create an ecosystem which attracts qualified professionals to manage the affairs. And we should be continuously working for developing the leadership capabilities of the board and management committee, so that they provide strategic leadership and work for the members in a neutral manner. I think we all remember late Sri Tribhuvan Das Patel. He was an exemplary leader who had been able to ward off the political interference and ensure the management of the affairs of cooperatives, by the professionals like Dr. Kurian. Further, I think we have to understand that the legal and regulatory framework may not be enough, and we will have to proactively work for developing internal strengths and capabilities of cooperatives by working on the points which I think I have just mentioned. I am sure that with the newly formed ministry, it will create an environment and support the cooperatives to realize the same. For all of us who are in one way or the other are related to the cooperative sector and have commonality and the concerns, this is an excellent opportunity to collectively put forth our views and discuss modalities by which the autonomy and independence of cooperatives can be better protected and ensured. I'm looking forward to the deliberations during this consultation workshop and the Anand Declaration on Cooperatives 2021. And lastly, I also join all of you in paying my tribute to Dr. Kurian in this centenary year celebration. NDDB is also going to celebrate this along with the sister organizations like IRMA, GCMMF, AMUL, and all. Thank you very much.